When you first told your, family that you wanted to do, pro wrestling, did it kind of shock them a little bit?
I'm kind of scared of my dad. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. My
wow.
dad's the sweetest guy in the world, but like it's just like the respect
Yeah,
factor, right?
when it comes to career stuff,
Exactly. Your
it's the
parents know
different, yeah,
best. There's some people I know, even it doesn't have to be wrestling, but if they've gone to chase their dreams, that their parents have kind of like just not even
yeah,
supporting their not. I don't want to say the word disown,
no.
but like they just there's no support there anymore. There's no relationship there anymore, and that's a really sad thing.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my brand new show. The show is called Rohan Plus One, and I'll be your host, Rohan. And for our very first show, we have a very special guest. He quotes himself as Sikh sworn, British born, Australian raised, Canadian trained. Introducing Rohan Raja.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are
When you
you?
said Rohan plus one, I was like, it's Rohan plus two now. There's
Yeah.
two
Well, it's
Rohans in
Rohan plus Rohan, so you know.
the room.
Thank you for coming on. I know you had a lot of commitments prior to this today, and really appreciate it.
No worries.
So let's dive in. So, as you describe yourself, tell me a bit about your, your upbringing, a bit more about, the Sikh sworn, British born.
So pretty much how I came up with that motto. I remember when I was in training with Lance Storm, I was thinking from the beginning. I was already thinking of ways like I could market myself and what represents me as what's the most real me that I can put into a
Yeah.
character. Then I was thinking of all the backgrounds I represent and what sticks to me, and then I was writing things down, and then I kind of came up with that, and then I
Okay.
was like Sikh Swan because I'm Sikh, and then it was obviously it's my India's my heritage, so I was like Sikh Swan. I was born in Britain. I was born in Crawley, West Sussex. It's a small town not many people have heard
Yeah.
of. Yeah, Australian raised, obviously, hence my accent, and then Canadian trained. So I feel like I used to have Canadian made,
Yeah.
so I changed it to trained. I think I changed it a while back. I think that was like when I first signed with Impact. I changed it to trained, but I felt like it was just so powerful.
Yeah.
All that at once. If I didn't need to say anything, if someone said, "Tell me who you are," I could just say Sikh Sworn, British born, Australian raised, Canadian trained. They're like, and every time I say that, people like they're like,
Yeah.
"What?" They're
Yeah.
like, That's like they're just so amazed of how many nationalities and how many countries I represent, and I think it's just when you find something unique, and I found it so early on. I didn't think it was going to be something that would stick, and then even you know we'll obviously go back and continue on this, but even fast forward in time when I was with WWE, like my hype video promo, like I say at the start of that, so it's something that's just kind of stayed with me my whole career so far.
Definitely, it's very unique. I mean, that's a like national brand you are now.
Yeah,
So as you mentioned, you are a professional wrestler. But what were you doing before that?
before I started wrestling.
Yes.
So I always wanted to be a wrestler when I was a kid. Like I've said it multiple times. Like my granddad was heavy into wrestling. My dad was heavy into wrestling. So was my brother. My sister and my mum would watch it as well. And like I was kind of just whether I liked it or not at that point, I was like right there because it was always on TV. But I my first memory was when I was like around 4 years old, and it just I loved it from the get go, and I was just like, oh man, and then as a kid, I was watching it more so like, as a fan and like loving the characters and the drama and everything, and then when I was getting older, I started to appreciate it as a sport and everything, and then as I was getting older, I knew that's what I wanted to do. So then I was thinking everything I do up to the point when I want to start training to be a wrestler, I got to do stuff that
Yeah.
benefits it. So then when it comes to training, I was boxing. I did a few stuff. I've learned how to like do Greco
Oh,
wrestling and
nice.
stuff like that. And then what I did for work after I finished school and got my education, I went into the fitness industry because I want to know how to look after my body. So everything I did up until the moment when I decided I was going to move and start training, everything I did was like pre-thought, pre-planned, just so I know I could. Because when you look on the independents now, people have no idea how to look after the
No.
body. People have no idea what to do with diet, and then like they put all this work in, and if you don't know how to if you don't know diet, it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
So it's something that I feel like if I didn't learn those skill sets on the way, it would have taken me a lot longer to get to where I am. I feel like because I was so prepared, that's one of the reasons why I accelerated so fast in my career.
So you had that foundation, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So in terms of like diet, and let's get into that a bit more. So nowadays in pro wrestling, it's changed a little bit. Back then there was a lot of people now. Back then, with bigger physiques, more jack shredded. Do you think it's changed a little bit in terms of body image and stuff? Like it's a little bit toned down. Would you say nowadays, with people coming into the business with different types of body shapes and
I
sizes?
think it's ultimately like even if you look back in the 80s and even in the 90s and early 2000s and stuff, there was still different body shapes. But in the 80s, it was all like the massive guys like Hulk Hogan and Warrior and stuff. And those guys were like, you know, late 200 pounds, close to like
Mm,
300 pounds, some of them. So like they were a lot bigger back then. But I feel I sit at 230
okay.
and I'm kind of like, now I'm at this day and age, I'm considered kind of big, which is kind of, I just think I'm in like really good shape. But if I was in there back then, I would be kind of one of the smaller
Smaller.
guys.
Yeah.
So I think it's super important that people look after their body
Yeah.
because I think I can't remember who the first person that told me this, um, but when you see certain wrestlers on TV and they're doing something, because they're so established, sometimes they can get away with what they're doing or what their physique is. Like if you look at someone's physique, if I was to say like Kevin Owens,
Yeah.
for example, he's a phenomenal
Yes.
wrestler. He's great on the
Yeah.
mic, and there's only one Kevin Owens.
Yes.
There's not another one that can come in and just be him.
No.
Like he's filled that quota sort of thing. So you have to, if you're unique and you look a certain way and then that's what they're looking for, then it comes in like into effect. But like you, for me, like if I look on the independents and I look at certain people, I'm like, why isn't he? Why isn't he where he's at? Is a lot of it is because of discipline. Because just because like you look the part, it's discipline.
Yes.
Because I will go like if you speak to my friends and family, if I'm out, I will bring my meal. I've got my meal bag in the
Oh
car.
my god.
I've got my
What's
meal
it?
bag in the car. Like I'll eat. I'm so my like I'll eat very plain food sometimes. Like
Yeah.
I'll change it up, but like I'm dedicated, and if that's part of like for me, it's like when it comes to the way you look, it comes to the way you like aesthetically and physically, like how you look, and you have to have charisma. You have to be good on the mic. You have to be good in the
Yes.
ring. You have to be everything
Yeah.
because that's the type of people that are going to succeed throughout their whole career. And then there's some that kind of have a little bit of shortcut, but it takes them a long time to get there. So some of the guys that have finally made it now, it took them 20 years, took them 25, and their bodies are like hurting, right? Because this sport is no joke.
Yeah.
So it just depends how serious you are, and if you don't put all the work in, it might you might get there in the end, but it might take you an extra
Yeah.
10 years.
So, because we're both Indian, so talking about diet, how would you like handle that? We have like roti, rice, a lot of carbs, naan bread, butter chicken, tandoori chicken, kebabs, all of that. How would you kind of, when you'd go to like a family functions or something, would you still be on that like strict balanced diet, or would you be like, let me have a bit of everything?
So at first it was hard,
Yeah.
and especially when I moved away to Canada first, I didn't have any family members in Canada. My immediate family was in Australia, so I got a lot of like cousins and stuff in the UK. So when I first came here,
Yeah.
oh, every time I'd go down to Crawley, it was like the first time was like, I'd have like 7 broad and then I was like, no, I can't do this, man. My stomach like swelled straight away the next day because I'm not used to it. But I told because in our culture, it's like if you go to someone's house and you don't eat,
That,
that's rude,
yeah,
man. Like, yeah, and
you
I was
have
saying to my
to.
dad, I was like, I
Yeah.
can't go there. Like,
Yeah.
I'm training. I can't go to Borgie's house. And then I was just like, I can't do it. And then it got to a point where it's like I told them I was like, look, this is my job.
Yeah.
So if I'm not looking after, I'm gonna potentially lose my
Yeah.
job
Yeah.
so it took a while, but they
Yeah.
understand.
They
But yeah,
understand.
at first, trust me, it was hard, man. Like I would dread every time I go back
Yeah,
there.
it must be like honestly, Indian food's like the best.
Oh, it's the bomb.
Yeah,
I can't handle
spice.
spice that
Oh
much anymore,
really?
man.
No.
I used to. I
Yeah.
was a machine when I was younger. Then now it's like I don't know. My taste buds have changed, and
No.
then like if I have something hot,
Yeah.
hot, anything hot and then extra hot, I'm done.
No,
Yeah,
that's
it's
it.
like I sweat like I'm in a sauna or
Oh my
something.
god. And do you have a sweet tooth for Indian sweets or like desserts or
Matigai.
yeah.
Yeah. So, Courtney, her name is Isla Dawn on SmackDown. When we were at the performance center, she makes like cakes and she
Oh,
bakes
okay.
cakes, and she made like like I can't remember what she called it because it was like a Scottish thing, but she made like a it tastes exactly like Montillé. And then I
Okay.
had it and I said, and it was like a little bit emotional for me because it tasted exactly how my mum used to
Oh
do it.
wow.
Yeah, and I was just like, I remember I went quiet and I spoke to my buddy like after. He's like, why'd you go quiet after you ate? And I told him. He's like, shit. And I said, no. It's like a. Can I swear on this, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, no, it was actually like a really heartfelt thing because it was like a taste of home, and it was something really cool. So that really stuck out to me. But like as well, when you're looking after yourself, moderation.
Yeah,
So when you
definitely.
have like you can have your cheat meals, like you build up towards certain things, like because man, my cheat meals I'll have like two large pizzas and
Oh
like
wow.
bunch of stuff. Like you've seen certain people like if you see the Rock's
Yeah, right.
cheat
All
meals,
that
man, like
stack, the stack of
I'm not having
pancakes
that
and
much. I'm
everything.
not
No,
having that much,
no.
but like you can enjoy yourself. But
Yeah,
it's like if you're eating like that all the time, it's gonna show in your
yeah,
performance. Yeah, yeah.
definitely. So, I know you mentioned about boxing and then you went pro wrestling. How was that transition between doing the boxing and then jumping to pro wrestling?
I think a lot of it was like because I always played. Besides the boxing
Yeah.
aspect, like when I was in high school, I always played sports.
Oh, okay.
So I feel like if you had I noticed anyway, even in my class, you notice people that were into sports.
Yeah.
It shows
Yeah.
straight away. So like just by how people roll, the way they stand, the way their stance is, the way they move, the way they run, the way they jump, like it all kind of comes natural when you change into a different when you go into well, not for everyone, but like it does people find it easier when they go into wrestling if they've had some sort of sporting background. So with boxing per se, the footwork came in really handy. The footwork came in really handy, and then just the positioning came really handy, and then the realism because like boxing's you're doing like a real
Yeah.
fight, and then with wrestling it's like you're putting on a performance, so you want to make that look as
Even better.
even better, right? Even better than the real thing. So it's like that really helped because then it helps to make everything look more legit. And then even early on, I don't do them anymore, but like I used to do like a lot of jabs and like boxing kind of punches in
Oh,
my
okay. Oh,
moveset and stuff. Yeah,
really?
I used to do that as a face, but like yeah, it that definitely helped big time. So like I said at the start of this, it's really good that I was into sports and I did these certain sports like boxing, and like it really set the scale and it really made it, even though it's hard, but it really made it easier for me in the wrestling world.
So when you first started pro wrestling, you were in Canada, and then you got signed with Impact. How did that take place? How did that kind of unveil itself?
So I'll back up a little bit. So I was working the independents. I remember after I finished Lance Storm, I want to work the independents and make a
Okay.
name for myself. So I worked all of Western Canada. I was doing like, man, some nights I was doing like 16-hour drives and stuff. Yeah, like so I was grinding it out there, and I worked all the West. And when I was working everyone, I was like, okay, I need a new challenge. And then I moved to the East Coast, and then moved to Toronto, and then I was only there for a few months, and then unfortunately my mum passed away in 2017, and like obviously I went back home, and when I got after it all stunk in and everything,
Yeah.
whatever happened, like by the time I got to Toronto, I kind of just went just head first into work, into wrestling, and like I was like, you know what, like she was one of my biggest inspirations to do this and like to push me to do it. So I literally she's been like my guardian angel
Yeah.
since then, and has helped me kind of stay on the right track. And then a few months later, an Impact slash Noah tryout came up.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, you know what? I think I should give this a go. So I went there fully prepared, fully like with a chip on my shoulder, and I was only at that point I was like just hitting 2 years in, and yeah, I impressed at the tryout, and then they picked three of us, and then we ended up doing like a it was called Global Forged.
Okay.
It was like a Tough Enough kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then there was like they ended up being eight of us on the show. Rohit Raju, my old tag partner, won it, and then I ended up getting signed from the show officially, and then yeah, that started my Impact journey.
Nice. So, because Impact is one of the like big companies,
Yeah.
how did you have a lot of pressure going in? You know, because you're performing at a bigger stage now. Did you and you know the crowd might be noticing things a bit more. Do you feel like there was that pressure now that you made it to there?
I think it was more so like for me it was like it it reassured me I'm doing all the right things to like I'm 2 years in and I've already signed my first
Yeah.
major contract. So I was like I'm doing all the right things. And then I went into Impact as a sponge. So I'm like I'm gonna learn as much as I can whilst I'm here, pick up everything, what to do, what not to do. So I was there just to like soak in all the knowledge, and then that was so crucial learning all the things I did. Like I learned so much stuff that still helps me to this day during that Impact run. And yeah, I didn't really feel like I feel like even when I go to perform like on big stages, like I feel like jittery and nervous, but I don't get
Mm.
performance anxiety. I don't get a lot of guys get performance anxiety. I get more like just like oh, I'm like ready to go, and like it's it's something that you can't if I was to sit there and then just keep kind of thinking about it, maybe I'd get like super anxious about it, but it's something athletes just have to be switched on. And when I'm put my boots on, I change. Like I'm not really the same person anymore. Like I meet like Tony as a person, and when I'm meeting people and stuff, they always say like, "Oh, you're so nice and
Yeah.
different and all this stuff." But like when I'm in character, I change.
Yeah.
Like I go down, I'm my mindset is very I can say this with confidence, is very rare, and there's not many people that think like me. So I kind of go into a different zone, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
Okay. And also with that, I guess being in Impact, you had a lot of like networking opportunities as well, right? You know, with other pro wrestlers, so and like I guess guidance as well, right? I
Yeah,
would say.
exactly. Yeah, because you got so many people there that you can like learn
Yeah.
from. Like John Morrison was there, Alberto Del Rio was there. Like there was so many like high caliber guys that were there that you just a lot of them would watch your match without asking. And then you obviously then if you want others if they're busy you can ask them to watch your match.
Yeah.
But you always the best thing, and I love now if someone watches my match that I want advice from and they don't give me a critique, I get upset.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like
You want.
being, I need to be critiqued. I can critique my own matches. If I watch my matches purely for critiquing, like I'll watch one of my matches for an hour and just critique everything I do and like that. So when people sit and watch my matches and critique it and give me like pointers on what to do, like even the best that are currently going right now still ask for advice. So it's like, it's very important to do that. And I feel like, uh, Impact gave me that first platform to ask these guys that are like established,
Yeah.
and because I was working with Impact, a lot of the matches I was getting on the independents were against veterans and stuff. So that was really cool as well.
And then so after Impact, you had a tryout, right? Was it Canada?
Yeah, in Toronto, yeah.
You went to WWE. How did you get the tryout? Like, what was the steps going into the tryout?
So at the time of my Impact, they were doing a lot of Canadian shows. So I was on like a Canadian visa, and then they started doing the US shows a lot.
Okay.
And then all the guys like so Gama Singh, our manager, Rohit, and Raj Singh, Jinder's cousin, they all had US passports.
Okay.
I was the only one without it, and then I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a
Mm.
problem. So I was having visa issues as to why I couldn't do the state shows. So I was eventually going to sign a contract extension and get my US visa and everything. And then at that point, I was thinking I was off TV for I think it was a few months, and then I was like, my goal when I started was like I want to get to WWE like before I'm 30.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I think I should for some reason I was just very confident. I was like I think I'm going to ask out of my contract. So I was giving up a short thing. I was giving up a guaranteed thing. This is another thing that like listeners now that are people who is aspiring to be wrestlers, like
Yeah.
aspiring as well. So like if you 100% believe in what you're doing, don't it doesn't matter what the fuck other people are
Yeah.
thinking. And like I had people when I said, oh, I'm gonna ask my release, I had so many, even some of my friends were like, what the fuck are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, people would kill for this. And, I so hardly believe, I was like, if I have a WWE tryout, I know for sure that
You,
they will take me.
you can get it.
Yeah, I was like, if I do the physical stuff well, match well, promo well, like, I'm like, they need to know who I am. And then I asked for my release, and then Scott's a great guy to deal with. And I remember he asked me, he was like, are you sure? And then said, like, do you have something lined up with WWE? And I kind of played it up saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't have anything lined
Yeah.
up, man. Like I couldn't talk, you can't talk to other companies when you're
No,
contracted.
yeah, I
And
understand.
then once my release was granted, I hit them up and they said, yeah, um, you've been on our radar. We would like to,
Oh
have you
wow.
in a tryout in the future. I was like, and I'm thinking, I want to
Yeah,
try it
that's
now.
it.
And then I heard about this Canadian one coming up. And then I was like, oh, is there any, there's a one coming up in Toronto. I'm obviously based here. Can I be a part of it? And initially they said no. They're like, we just want all Canadians on it. And I was like, I was so bummed. I was like, oh shit. And then at that point, I was like, I've been, since I started wrestling, I've just been going so hard, man. And I was like, I think I'm just gonna, go off my diet a little bit and just take it a bit
Yeah.
easy and like not stop wrestling or anything like that, but just like physically,
Yeah.
just take it a bit more easier. And then as I was planning to do that, I got an email a few days later saying, "Oh no, you're on." And I was like, man,
You
lucky
just
because there's one thing staying in the
yeah.
mindset. If you just switch off, it's hard to get back in
Yeah.
sometimes, right? So I was almost switched off, and then like lucky I got, and then I was oh shit, and I went straight back into it. Train my butt off for the tryout. And yeah, the tryout was 3 days, but the first one was like medical. The first day was like
Oh,
medicals and
medical.
stuff. And there was about I think there was anywhere from 40 to 50 people.
Wow.
And then yeah, I was the only one that got picked up
Oh,
from it.
nice.
Yeah, at the
That's
time, Bianca Corelli was on it, Santino's
okay.
daughter. She's obviously signed now, but she had another tryout down the
Wow.
down the road. Yeah.
Wow. So how did you feel when you got that? Because that must have definitely been like a big moment for you.
That was a really like obviously the Impact thing was like very exciting and it was emotional me thinking damn this happened quick,
Yeah.
but the WWE one, man, I was wanting to get into wrestling because of WWF WWE. Like I was wanting to get like that's the company I wanted to get to,
Yeah.
right? Like that's where I want to finish my career and everything like that. And yeah, I remember when it after the tryout and stuff, I called my brother and it's like my brother wanted to be a wrestler when he was
Oh,
younger.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. So he like lives vicariously through me. So everything I share with him, and I like every moment I have, or if I meet certain wrestlers,
Yeah.
like I'll share with him. And I called him straight away, and he was really like happy on the phone. And I called my dad, and like it was just such a full circle moment, and just like yeah, it's that I can't even like explain what
Describe
I
it.
was
Yeah.
feeling. Yeah, it was really such a dream come true moment. There's not really a feeling like it, but then if I fast forward and said what was the debut like,
Yeah.
that's obviously a different feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was a very special moment.
And like talking about your brother, about your dad, when you first told your, family that you wanted to do, pro wrestling, did it kind of shock them a little bit?
So I think my brother actually asked my dad when he wanted to be a wrestler. My dad said no. So I always had that in my mind that he wouldn't let me do it, and I've always had that. I think it's like most Indian dads, like I'm kind of scared of my dad. Yeah, yeah. My
Wow.
dad's the sweetest guy in the world, but like it's just like the respect
Yeah,
factor,
and
right?
when it comes to career stuff,
Exactly. Your
it's a
parents know
different,
best, yeah,
it's a
right? Yeah.
different,
So
different type of.
I was really scared at first. Like, so I'd have conversations with my mum. My mum was all for it, right? Mum's very like chase your
Yeah,
dreams and stuff. Mum's great, and dad's very like he is very you know, career driven, want to make sure you have a good career. And obviously, he wants his kids to,
yes,
be okay and stuff. And, oh man, I was struggling. So one day I was putting all the plan together. I was struggling for ages to tell him. And then I was talking to my sister and my brother. My sister's like, look, when he comes home, why don't we bring him, sit outside and why don't we bring him outside? All sit together and then, you can tell him what you want to do. So that's essentially what we did. We're sitting at the back of our house, and then Sonia brought dad out, and I'm like sweating, man. I'm like, damn. And then like I said it. He didn't say anything, and then it was like a bit of a pause, and he goes, "Do you have a plan?" I said, "Yeah," and then I showed him a plan. He goes, "Okay, so," and then he was straight on board. He was straight on board, and I was like so taken back. I was like, "What the hell? Like, what?" I was
Yeah.
so taken back, but I think he could see I planned it. He could see how serious I was about it. Where when my brother did it, my brother would just it was just like a dream for him sort of
Okay.
thing, right? So it's like I actually kind of had the whole thing
Planned
planned,
out.
right? So my dad was like, "Holy shit, like this, he's wants to do it."
Yeah.
So yeah, and like man, at the start, I thought my dad would be the one that wouldn't like me to do it,
Yeah.
and then fast forward till now, he's he's probably like my biggest supporter.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say like my
Yeah.
brother's like in a different kind of different. I don't even want to like it's like a different relationship me and my brother
Yeah.
have,
It's
right? But so
different.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's different. Yeah,
It's
so it's
different.
like, but like as a supporter, my dad's like number
Number
one.
one.
He's always so proud, and he's like, I remember every time I like go back home, if it was like for a wedding or if it's just for a holiday, and like my dad's kind of like a man with a few words, and like I'd talk to his friends, and like he would just his friends would be telling me how much he speaks
Yeah.
highly of me and stuff. So it's yeah, it's very cool, and like with like do your parents know that you wrestle?
Yeah. They know that I train. Yes.
What were they like when you told them?
Oh, I don't know, because it's very different, right? So I think they're on board with like me training and stuff, you know. Yeah, and I mean, I show them videos and stuff, and it's like, well, you know, especially like when you take bumps and stuff,
I think
it's
they're worried, right? Like
yeah,
it's
because
understandable. Yeah,
it's different because if you land a certain way, it can be like dangerous.
yeah, yeah.
So it's just I think with this, it's making sure you're safe, and you're looking out for your partner.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're on board. They know like every Saturday now I'm like taken because of like pro wrestling. Like I'm there every Saturday training. But yeah, it's been a good experience so far as well.
That's cool. It very much helps when you have your family supporting you
Yeah,
in that way, because I feel like there's some people I know, even it doesn't have to be wrestling, but if they've gone to chase their dreams, that their parents have kind of like just not even
yeah,
supporting their not, I don't want to say the word disowned,
no,
but like they just, there's no support there anymore, there's no relationship there anymore, and that's a really sad thing. So I feel like it really does help the aspiring kids to have their support from their parents. Like I do a lot of motivational speaking. Like I've done a lot in the States, which has been really good. But I did one in Gatwick. Do you know where
oh
Gatwick
yeah,
is? Yeah,
that's yeah, close to me.
yeah. So Crawley's near Gatwick, and school hit me up during COVID, and was asked me to come down there and speak to the kids, like the multiple year levels and stuff, just about motivation and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah. And then obviously COVID was in the way, and fast forward, when the restrictions were off, I did it. And then I remember I was talking to a few different classes, but I was talking to a particular grade's graduation, and all their parents were there. And I said, pretty much said, like, make sure you support your kids. And a lot of parents now, they never followed their dreams. So it's almost, they're almost repeating what their dads and what their dads
Yeah, it's
did
passed
before
on,
them. So it's
passed on.
passed on to the, so I kind of said, like, you can be the first generation to stop that and encourage your kids to do it, because like the best thing in order to succeed in any sort of field is support from your closest friends and family, and mindset number one first, but support from your friends and family. If you have that, like the sky's the limit. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, if you do want to go and chase your dreams, I think the main important thing is to believe that you can do it, and make sure you do have a plan to it as well. You know, and also it is getting that support system with your friends and family, like because it can be a daunting time to tell them like I want to become like a wrestler, I want to become an athlete, because it's very different
I think a lot of people laugh. So I
yeah.
remember I was asking one of the, when I did the school motivation one, that one of the first ones I did, it was like one of the older kind of year levels. I can't
Yeah.
remember how old they were, and a lot of them were like scared to. I was like, what does anyone here want to like? What's their dream, or what do they want to do? No one raised their hand. No one raised their hand,
Yeah.
and I was just like, there was a couple class clowns there, and then like, were kind of making it awkward for them to like to put their hands up, and I said, honest, and I said my experience. I said honestly, when I first started wrestling, I've had a bunch of cousins, I've had a bunch of acquaintances, I've had a bunch of friends all laugh at me. All laugh at me. And then now fast forward, they're all just trying to
Like
message me all the time.
cheering
Yeah.
you on, and you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I was like, where were you? I was like, where were you when I was starting? I was like, come on now. And then
What-
like these kids have each started then, saying once I told them my story, they started saying, "Oh, I want to be a football player. I want to," and I said, "There's no reason you couldn't be the next Ronaldo. There's, as long as you have that mindset and you believe in yourself, you literally you can do anything, man."
And then I also feel like when it comes to that stuff, you need, as you said, mindset. But also, I think it's that sacrifice along with the process. I feel like you need to make those sufficient sacrifices. Like going out clubbing or going out, with your friends when there's training. I feel like that's also an important factor,
But
right?
yeah, yeah, definitely. Like, there's so many people in wrestling, especially like the ones that have already had all their careers and stuff. But just from my experience, like, I left Australia, left my closest friends, left my family. I saw my dad for the first time in 3 years in November, just
Oh,
gone. Uh, I only met my nephew in December, and he's over a year. Like I missed his birth. Like I missed my brother's wedding. Like I missed multiple friends' weddings, and it's there's sacrifices to this, and it does hurt. Like a lot of that does hurt, but like you got to remind yourself, are you prepared to do that? Like to people that are listening, and because obviously that it's not for everyone. In order to be successful, it doesn't mean it doesn't have to be like, oh, you have to sacrifice, and there's particular dreams where you don't have to
yeah.
move. So like it's not like you have to do that for everything, but for wrestling in particular, it is a very sacrifice thing. There is days like sometimes when I was gone for traveling and stuff, I'd be gone like you know a month at a time, and then like I hadn't seen but I've got dogs that like
Oh,
I got
yeah.
dogs that I treat like kids, but like I miss them when I'm on the road, and just like all my close friends and stuff. And then now it's like most of my friends I've met that are through wrestling that are super close to me all live in different cities, all live in different countries. Like my really last close friend that was living in the UK was Lewis Elton Prince.
Okay.
And after he left, it was that moment again where I'm like, damn man, I'm like all my friends are gone, and like I don't really, I'm always on the grind, so there is a lot of sacrifice to it, and it does get it does get lonely at times, but you just got to remind yourself of why you do it, and then there is a lot of sacrifice, but man, like the rewards you get for it are like I wish I could go back in time and talk to myself when I was like
Yeah.
16 and when I was 10 years old, and even you know before I left Canada, and like said, or like at this point in your career you've been signed to TNA
Yeah.
and WWE,
WWE.
you've got a WWE trading card, like
That.
that like dude, I'd be like, what? I'd be so confused, like I'd be jumping on the couch and stuff. It's just it's the rewards you get it's a beautiful thing. It's really cool.
Great. So, as you mentioned, you got signed with WWE. So, tell us about your experience in that, and how you're able to grow in that company as well. During your time with WWE.
So it was like it was very when I got there and saw the like even when you see the tryout, the way the tryout
Yeah.
set, I'd be like, oh shit, this is next level. Like this is fucking. There's a reason this is the juggernaut. Like this is next level, and like all the trainers there, and like when you meet some of these trainers, like at my tryout, like William Regal was there and Matt Bloom was there, and like um, and then obviously when I started at the PC, like the facility, like the UK PC is it's quite big. It's not as big as the Orlando one, but it's quite big, and it's beautiful facility, state of the art gym. Like the rings are phenomenal. Like one thing with the 20 by 20 rings, there's hardly any 20 by 20
No.
rings in the UK. Canada had
It
a lot of big rings, but it's very hard for some people to
move around because
yeah,
20 by
because you've
20
got a
is
massive ring, and there's some of the rings here, like there's like it's for like midget wrestling and
yeah.
stuff, like legit, like yeah, because there was midget wrestling in Canada where they used to be in like a casino, and dude,
Mm,
the rings there, some of the shows here are
they must have been
using there.
tiny.
Yeah, I was like, what the? I'm like, you're doing an international, and you've moved like one step.
Yeah, you can't.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
20 because the ring I'm training at the moment 16 by 16, and that's
That's
You know,
pretty good
that's a
size.
good
Yeah,
size.
yeah,
But
yeah.
20 by 20, you need to be able to, make make it look bigger, on a bigger scale when you're performing, right?
Yeah, yeah, and
This,
you got to utilize ring
yeah,
positioning very well and stuff as well. So it does take some people to get used to, but for me it was like, oh man, I got all this space. Like I loved it, especially like when you're selling
yeah.
because you've got all this space to work with and stuff. Um, but yeah, the experience there was great, man, and like learning off like Shawn Michaels is like one of my childhood
Yeah,
heroes
must
and
have
stuff.
been
Yeah.
like incredible because
Oh,
one
dude.
of definitely the best of all time.
Yeah, yeah, man. Like so a lot of the times when I was growing up, I'd watch a lot of. They used to do like the biographies on DVD,
Oh,
and I
okay.
used to watch a lot. And I've watched Shawn Michaels. I think it's Heartbreak Triumph.
The book, because I've got
There's a
the
book of
yeah,
it
I've
as
got the
well.
book
Yeah,
at
yeah,
home. Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
I've watched that DVD like a good 50 times, and like I'd love watching these wrestler stories and like seeing how they'd come out. And I've been a diehard Shawn Michaels fan, and then it's like, oh, he's like right there. He's like in Gorilla. He's watching my matches. He's giving me like feedback, and I'm like, what the hell? And I remember like even with my debut match against Tier Man when he's like, when we were in the ring, he's talking through Gorilla over the intercom, and he's just like in his deep. I can't do the Sean voice, but he's like Rohan, he's just like yeah, and then like talking to me like. We're talking about specifics in the match and stuff, and I'm like, "What the
What?
hell?" Yeah, yeah, and I'm like looking up, like looking at like it's God, and I was
Yeah, like
just like, "Oh
oh,
man!" Like it's so crazy learning off him, and like the things I learned from him in that, in that time period was like, damn, like there's a reason why he's one of the best around, and I was really fortunate to learn off him. William Regal really helped me there. He really took an interest into me, and so did Matt Bloom. Those three were the ones that helped me the most for sure. And then obviously the coaches at the PC are really good. Like Johnny Moss is coaching in the US PC now, and he's great. James Mason was training at the coaching at the UK as well, and he's fantastic, like British legend. Love training with Mason. He was really fun to train with. But you just learning like like the WWE style, and then learning the UK style that they were incorporating there was really cool. And then I think the best one of the best things I took was all the pre-tapes I got to do. So I'm very one of my strongest assets is live mic when
okay.
I'm doing live mic promos. That's like one of my favorite things to do. And then pre-tapes different. Like you'll see, I won't say names,
No, yeah.
but I remember at Impact, I was watching some people do pre-tapes and they would do like 20 takes,
Oh, wow.
and they were like big
Yeah.
stars. And I'm thinking, but then when they would do a mic promo, they wouldn't screw up.
No.
And then like for some reason I can understand that when I do mic promos and stuff, no problem. And then pre-tapes, I would get jittery before it, and then I would be like, it would just be kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird because you're talking to just a lens, right?
Yeah.
And then yeah, the I remember after the first one I did, my debut one was obviously jittery because I hadn't done a pre-tape promo since Impact and stuff, like a
Yeah.
TV one. And then after I did that, I started getting like a craving for it,
Wow.
man. I love doing them. I love doing those like cinematic styles that me and Tierman and Charlie did. And dude, I just taken a new appreciation to the art of pre-tapes, and like I just learned so much on how to tell a story in a pre-tape. And like that's what I was learning from WWE, and like the production and the way they do things, and the way those cinematic things we were doing are essentially, because I've done a lot of TV stuff now, are exactly the same on how they film in like in Hollywood and stuff like that. It was so cool to learn that, and it was just like the direction you get on it, and like how you're learning about tone when you're saying certain things and looking a certain way, and it everything on camera means something. And it was yeah, that was like one of my big favorite takes from it. But just being under the WWE banner as a whole is like it's next level, and like I could talk for hours on what I learned there. Yeah, yeah.
And you know how so you were saying about the differences between pre-taped and live promo. Do you think that like feeding off the crowd helps a lot more when delivering a live promo?
So I think so when you're doing pre-tapes, so we were it was good because like they really liked us doing pre-tapes, and like out of the group that we would do, like me, Tia Man, and Charlie, I was the speaker, so I would do the live mic stuff and all that, and it, so with the mic you can, when a crowd starts chanting something, you can pause,
Yeah.
and you can, if they're starting to say something, you can chime in. Not everyone can do that, but I love doing that. If they say a certain thing, I can switch off, and because I'll just have maybe notes in my head, I'll switch off and then like start talking about whatever they've brought to attention, and divert the promo. When you're doing pre-tape, there, like you were saying, there's no crowd there or anything like that. So same thing with pre-tape. Sometimes I would have like, you'd obviously have a structure on what they want you to say, but then you say it in your own words. And then once you get comfortable in saying it in your own words and not reading line for line, that's when you've finally are comfortable in front of a pre-tape. Whereas live mic promos, unless there's a time limit, you can take it as long as you want. Yeah, yeah.
Because with the live thing, the crowd real reaction is there. Would you prefer to get booed, or would you prefer to get cheered for, like, in terms of like heel or face?
Oh, booed.
Booed,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, booed, 100%. Yeah, when I started, man, I was like a heel straight away.
Yeah.
I was a heel in training. It's weird because I like to be liked in person,
Yeah.
and then yeah, being a heel and manipulating the crowd to like get really angry at you, and like sometimes legitimately get angry at you is like, man, I strive for it. For some reason, I get when someone tells me like negative things, it makes me like more like, I don't even know how to explain it. It
Like,
makes,
feed you up, to build
yeah,
you up,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you're
like
like,
gets me amped. I was like,
yeah, like
yeah,
pumped.
yeah,
Yeah,
pumped
that's
up,
it.
yeah. I love it, man. And then like it's sometimes fun doing like face stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've done a few face stuff, but I just love the art of the playing the heel and playing the villain, and like I love like doing matches where like I can build up the baby
Yeah.
face and have that nice moment of them getting over me at the end, or even me being a villain and doing a like sneaky fucking
Yeah.
win, and like, yeah, dude, I love it, man. It's
Or like
wicked.
just taking everything away from the fans, the one thing they really wanted, but
Yeah,
they
yeah,
didn't, because
yeah. But like I remember too, it's kind of changing now, but like a lot of the stuff like uh fans will start to chant like heels and stuff.
yes.
If I would get that, I would get pissed off. Yeah, I'd
Really?
get pissed off because then I'd be like, shit, I didn't do my job
Yeah.
properly. And then I would be at the back. Like sometimes a few of our matches, like the title matches that I've had through my career, that it would start happening. I'd be like, oh shit. And then I'd like, obviously sometimes do an improv promo and then just like turn it around on the crowd. But even like if you, like one of my favorite matches I did in WWE was the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team title match. And that there was like there was three babyface teams that were fully cheered on the thing, and then like we were like fully heels in that, and it was just the payoff that match had at the end for Briggs and Jensen when they went over on us was like one of the biggest pops that the like NXT heard that year. Yeah, that was NXT UK heard that year. Like that was great. It's just just love the art of storytelling through a villain's perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like heels right now. I mean, there's some like Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah, oh dude, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. If I was to
he,
say someone right now, like I remember when he was coming up, I'm like, Dom looks like he just looks like a baby. Like he
yeah,
has that baby
that's
face.
it.
And dude, like his new look and everything and like what he's doing and like
Mm,
yeah,
that
I
is
love that
hilarious
man.
with a teardrop tattoo
Yeah, yeah, I
and
love that man.
see
He actually looks like he's like Eddie's
with
son.
the
Like yeah,
prison
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
is
Oh, the
hilarious.
prison thing killed me,
Yeah.
man.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
That was so funny. I was like,
And
oh, that
and
yeah.
the little snippets. Do you see? Like, when he gets arrested.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
god.
yeah. I think he said I was drinking something, I spat it out. I was with a few of my buddies, and he said, "I'm not gonna make it in jail" or something like that. And I was just like, "Oh man, I just couldn't deal." But yeah,
And then he
he's
came back.
doing really well.
Because as soon as he comes out, they just boo him, and he can't get a word in. Do you think there's a reason behind like that? Because for the crowd to boo him so much, something's working.
I think they've just let him kind of be more like more tuned into his like the way I look at being a villain. They've probably like given him a lot of free reign of doing that, and I think it's really helped him being paired with Rhea and Finn
Yeah,
and Priest and everyone. Like it's really helped us whole, and it takes he was obviously on main roster for a while before he got this gimmick, so it takes time to find
yeah.
something. So when he found it and then it stuck to it, and yeah, that he's doing a great job.
Wait, like how you're saying. So it's a trial and error. It's a trial and error system, right? So you go through like different phases in your career to see what works for you.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So like you'll go through different things, and then it's whether during a run, if you get the opportunity to do it. So it's not like you can go in and get, like, just say if you got picked up and then you're like, oh, I've got this great thing that you're for sure is going to get over. They might not let you do that. So it might not be part of the plan. Like, you can't dictate on what you want to do, sort of thing. So like, you can have input and stuff. Like some people, but it just depends where you're working. I feel like NXT is a lot more lenient on that,
Yeah.
but then obviously main roster is very, uh, they're dealing with a much bigger
Yeah.
production, and like the times are very more stricter and stuff, and like they gotta, they can't have everyone at the top, so you gotta wait your turn and wait for your moment and wait for your opportunity. And some guys don't take it, and some guys do.
Okay. So next topic we'll talk about is South Asian representation in pro wrestling. We've got yourself, Jinder Mahal. I mean, we've had the great Khali, but do you think there's kind of a lack or a less of a representation of South Asians in pro wrestling?
I think,
As
yeah, I think so. Like if you compare it with, you know, other representations of the world, there definitely is a lack. I think Kali was like, probably one of the pinnacles
yes,
to start it,
yeah,
and then Jinder turned it into something even greater. And
mm,
like Jinder's, I feel like when Jinder started got his reign as champ, that really opened the door
yeah,
for a lot more. And then, you know, with me coming up through the ranks as well, and then there's like, obviously you'd have guys like Gama Singh back in the day, and then you've got his son Raj Singh, Bollywood Boys, Jinder, myself. Like, it's starting to get up there, but it's there. But the thing is, there is a lot of Asians that are training. There's a lot of wrestlers that are in India as well, and that are trying to get it. And there's quite a few in the UK. There's quite a few in the US, but it's about it's about having that next level work ethic. It's about having that next level mindset is what's going to get more guys to add into our elite group, I should say,
yeah.
because there's like,
Only a select few, right?
yeah, because you want to help, like with me as well, like because I've had that, like Jinder's one of my inspirations, and he's helped me a lot throughout my career. And like as I've gotten older too, I like helping people and wanting to see more representation, along the way. And then I've still got loads of time on my career, but like even 15 years later, 20 years later, I want to see like to make sure the representation's still there. Like it keeps going, it keeps going. So I think with more time, hopefully it will keep going.
But do you think there's like a specific reason why maybe there is this lack? Is it because people are, as we were saying before, like not following their dreams, or is it like that lack of opportunity or an awareness?
I think a lot of it was the lack of opportunity. So I feel like it's unlocked after it's very much unlocked now. So now it's like whether people follow their dreams and put the work in and do whatever it takes, because you know just because sometimes like to get like into wrestling, people think, oh, if I meet this person or meet this person, like, oh, that's my ticket in. But a lot of it's like it's just you gotta like really put the hard work in. And like for those listening, it's like especially from you know our heritage, like put in the work and just you know it's there's such a small group of us. It would be so much better if there was more. It'd be so much better if there was more representation. You've got more in other companies as well, like Bupinder from my old Desi Hit Squad group, Rohit as well. Like, so there's quite a fair bit out there now, but yeah, I really want to see more for sure.
So, if you had to pick one Asian artist to make an entrance theme song for you, who would it be?
Jazzy B. Yeah,
Really?
Jazzy B.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when I was a kid, like Jazzy B was like, oh, he still is now. Like he's just his songs were. So I've got, when you listen to certain songs and it will remind you of a point in time in your life. So I've got so many Jazzy B songs where like one will play and then I'll be like, oh man, this reminds me of like a wedding I attended in 2005, or like like a lot of his tracks just have these chapters in my life,
Yeah.
and it's yeah, he's like one of the biggest ones that like there's songs that I've had like that chapters went since I was a kid and then all the way up till now. So it's like a particular song comes on and I'll think of this, I'll think of that. So it's a very cool thing, and I think he's a great
Yeah,
singer. So like, I'd love for him to do a theme song for me one
yeah.
day for
That
sure.
that would be history, really, right? I mean, not many Asian artists have, done things like this.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think like Jinder had I can't remember who sung it, but he had a song. It was like it was I think it was called Maharaja, and it was have you heard it?
Is it his new one
No, it's not his new one. No, no, no.
or the one before when he was champion, right?
No, no, not even that one. It was like a song that wasn't sung for his entrance, but it was sung for Jinder.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you. Like it's a wicked track. I don't know why he didn't use it as his entrance actually, but yeah, that was a cool track. But aside from that, yeah, Jinder's probably like the only one that's been, getting like cool stuff like that. So I definitely want to make sure I'm the
Yeah.
second.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Jazzy B performs live as well,
Oh yeah, dude, that
Like
would be
at
wicked.
WrestleMania, like imagine at WrestleMania you're there and Jazzy B is performing for you. You'd be like, wow, like
Yeah, that'd be wicked, man. That'd be
people might
cool.
just go just there to see him. And it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, that'd be wicked.
awesome, awesome. So, like, what's next in your like pro wrestling career? Would you wanna go back? Because I know WWE are, I know like NXT UK is not a thing now, but I know that is they're gonna do NXT Europe. Is that something you'd like to get involved in?
Yeah, so like I've since the NXT UK closure, I still to this day now I keep in touch with WWE very
Yeah.
often, have a really good relationship with them. Yeah, so I can't say much about NXT Europe, but yeah, they definitely want to would would very much be happy to be a part of it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I
I
know. Let's not. Yeah. I
got.
mean, because I think apparently they're scheduled to do an event in India as well in September. So
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah. So that would be really cool. I actually do you know what city that they announced it was for?
I think it's in Hydra. I might be wrong,
Hyderabad?
guys. So just correct me if I'm wrong. I think Hyderabad.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely it could be yeah, it could be there, but like it's definitely happening in India for sure. And I did read that it was September that, but that would be really good
Yeah.
because obviously a lot of like Triple H has said it but before, but like a lot of like the NXT plan is like they want to do these expansions, and obviously NXT India was a thing that was in the works, and still is potentially in the works, but obviously the whole COVID thing happened, but yeah, like there's still that there's still these things for even putting our representation to a side. There's still a lot of opportunity for other countries' representations to have a platform through NXT, and especially India as well, and like Japan and Australia. Like there's so much potential in that route if they go down that route. So there's gonna be. I feel like that it's a really good time to be a wrestler because there's so much opportunities
Yeah.
out there for everyone, and but there's a lot of for people starting out. There's a lot of competition as
Yes.
well. So that just a reminder of just to keep working hard.
I mean, there's two of us. There's some tag titles. I mean, if they pay for a trip to India, I'm sure we can get that booked right there. The two of us. Well, I mean, what would our tag team name be?
What would our tag team
Ooh.
name be? You would have to come up with that
Yeah, I
one.
mean, like one, it's Desi Boys. I mean, that's just one that's come at the top. But I mean, it would be an experience.
Yeah,
To
that'd
be
be
like,
cool.
wow.
Like I want to go back to India for sure too, because I haven't been to India in a while now. Like it's when does the podcast come out, by the way?
Hopefully next week.
Okay, so I think um I've got an article coming out with Times of India. So that's coming out on Tuesday. So that'll come out. This will come out probably after it. So yeah, the like even in that like it's I talk about in that like how much I want to come back to India and stuff, and hopefully especially with WWE doing this event in September, hopefully it's going to be the start of them obviously doing more tours down there.
Nice, yeah. So we're gonna play a little game to close the show. So it'll
Okay.
be this or that. I'll just ask you like a few questions with
Okay,
two
all
short,
right,
yeah.
all right,
So
all
I'll
right.
just like give you some questions.
Okay.
So the first question would be: I cut a 5-star promo or have a 5-star match.
5-star promo.
5-star promo.
Yeah.
I definitely agree.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah, the 5-star promo, man. Like the promos, you'll remember a 5-star match, but like the promos speak louder volumes, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'll be more memorable as well because you can have like so many 5-star matches, but then you might just have like one or two, really good promos.
Yeah, exactly. And there's particular promos if you look back on now, you'd be like, oh, that promo,
Yeah.
oh, that promo. There's so many of them that people remember like that. Yeah.
So for Indian food, Australia, Canada, UK, best place for Indian food.
That's a tough one, man. I wouldn't say Australia. Oh, that's a real tough one. Do you know what? I think as a country as a whole, I'd say UK, but I say Brampton's the best.
Okay.
Yeah, Brampton's the best, man. Like I used to live in Brampton when I was based in Toronto, and like, dude, it's like mini Punjab there.
Yeah.
It's wicked, and the food is, oh man, I was eating Indian I was eating Indian food quite a lot over there. Yeah, I definitely say as a country UK, but as a city I'd say Brampton.
Brampton.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So if you had the option to win the Royal Rumble or Money in the Bank, which one would you want to win?
Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble.
Yeah, Royal Rumble, man. Like Royal Rumble's like one of my favorite pay-per-views. Yeah. Oh, dude, like I won't do it now because it'll take a while, but like I can name every Royal Rumble winner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude. I was like, a Royal Rumble's a thing where me and my brother would like miss school. Oh,
Really?
sorry, Dad. We'd miss school, and we'd pretend we were sick, and every time Royal Rumble was on, like we'd make sure it's live, man. Like that. I love Royal Rumble.
Yeah, because you never know who's gonna turn
Oh,
up.
dude, yeah, and the
Yeah.
surprise entries and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Royal Rumble any day, man.
Yes.
Any day.
I mean, Money in the Bank's coming to London. Who do you think's gonna win? Would you say Logan Paul is a potential candidate to win it?
I'm saying LA Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say LA Knight. I feel like someone who deserves it, and like he was when I was at Impact, he was LA Knight was there, and he's a really nice guy. I would say he's definitely done the really long route, and I'd really much be happy for him to.
He's got great charisma on the mic. The way the crowd just said his name just like that just shows like how over he is.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's his. I feel like right now it's his time, and that comes for everyone when they've put in the work. It'll be your time eventually, and then you just got to make sure you take it.
So, Ras Malai or Gulab Jamun, which?
Oh man. No, I can't pick two.
No,
No,
both.
no. I'd say both. Yeah,
Both,
I can't
yeah.
pick,
I mean,
no.
yeah.
No, that's unfair.
I mean, yeah, sweet tooth. For
Yeah,
any Indian
yeah,
sweet,
nah.
just pass it to me.
Yeah, no, I can't. It's one, dude. It's just like there's so much. Yeah, there's just so much, like, it tastes great, but there's so much just nostalgia with it.
Yeah.
Like, it just always makes me feel like I'm at Bibi's house, like when I bite it, or my mum's like, yeah.
Yeah. And last one. So, Bhangra music or Bollywood music?
Bhangra music. Yeah.
Definitely.
Bhangra music. Yeah, well, Bollywood music's great, but dude, Bhangra music just
It's
hits
something
next
else. It
level,
gives
yeah.
you that high.
Yeah.
It's
Dude, like if it was playing right now, we'd probably be
Oh,
dancing. for
yeah,
sure.
I mean, yeah, we can. Sure, I can smash out those moves. Even when you go to the ring,
Yeah.
smash out a few moves. Like that, great. Were you watching any Bollywood films?
Yeah. So like even still now, like I like my classic Bollywood movies. Like Devdas was a really good one. Border, I really like. Border's probably one of my favorites, actually. I think. Shah Rukh Khan's always been my favorite actor. But yeah, I like more of the classics. Like there's some great ones now, but like I think it's just with me. I just love a lot of stuff that reminds me of home and reminds me of good memories with like my family and stuff. And I feel like that with any sort of like topic, it always kind of comes back to the nostalgia moments. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Like family, like what we would do. Even Christmas Eve, always go. Watch a Bollywood film. That would be our tradition on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
It was something that we could all do together.
And you'll remember that too. Like you remember it now, and even like in like, when you have your own kids, that might be a tradition that you pass on, and then like that's cool. That's sweet.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
No worries. This was fun, man. Like this was good. I've been like up since like it's quite late now. Yeah, I've been up since like 5 a.m. 'cause I went to the gym first before I went to Manchester. Then I had to come to London for something else. and then obviously I then came here. But yeah, it's been a blast, man, and I really do hope you keep doing
Yes.
what you're doing. And if I was to offer you any piece of if I was to offer you any piece of advice, is believe in yourself and don't listen to any negative stuff you get from people that are like kind of speaking ill about you chasing your dream. Don't listen to any of that shit, and then you'll be fine.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Take
no
that,
worries.
definitely take that on board.
No worries.
That's the wrap, guys. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.